Madeline had a special surprise lined up for me while I was visiting, an animal encounter with Maggie and Chloe the otters. Now, I've never been around otters before, and to be honest, I really didn't know that much about them, so this was a really special treat. Before we got started, we had some instruction from their biologist, who told us we had to make sure to feed the otters at the same time. Otherwise, they might get jealous and try and steal each other's food. Now, all of the otters have their own color-coded containers. That way, staff knows which otter is getting what food, and they can monitor how much they eat throughout the day. Now, the otters were all getting restaurant-quality seafood that consisted of shrimp, clam, and squid. The squid typically is fed first thing in the morning, so all I was feeding was shrimp and clam. Did you know that the average 40-pound otter has a really fast metabolism and can consume up to 30% of their body weight every single day? That's a lot of food. I cannot get over how cute Chloe and Maggie were. Maggie, who was 18 years old, was starting to gray a bit on the top, whereas Chloe, who was next to me, was only 6 years old and still had a shiny brown coat of fur. The biologist was telling me that the color of their fur is due not only to age, but also to genetics. In fact, they have another otter that was out on exhibit while we were feeding, who was 8 years old, but had brown with specklings of gray on top. Now, I don't know if you're curious like I was, but I've seen animals being trained putting their nose or their face through holes in glass to get treats, kind of like what we were doing. But I was asking their biologist what other types of trainings they do with the otters. And I learned that before the encounters, the otters are worked with individually to open their mouths or stand for belly checks, even to put their nose in the trainer's hand. By doing this, their trainers are able to check and make sure that they're in good health. And for whatever reason, if they weren't in good health, it wouldn't stress them out doing a different behavior. They would just be doing something that they've been used to doing all along. Now, another behavior that they are trained is toy removal from the exhibit. They bring back the toys from the bottom of the tank and get treats in exchange. This mimics their wild foraging behavior where they would go out and pull urchins off of the kelp and bring them up to the surface to eat. Now, ice isn't something that you're going to find in the waters of Southern California, where Chloe and Maggie are from. But at the end of their feeding, the girls got a special treat. A bin of ice was dumped in their enclosure for them to eat and to play with. And as you can tell, they had an absolute blast. Did you know that it takes $30,000 to care for one sea otter each year? It's one of the reasons why Aquarium of the Pacific memberships and admissions are so important. Not only did I learn an otter lot about Aquarium of the Pacific's rescue program, but I had an utterly amazing time feeding Maggie and Chloe during my animal encounter. If this sounds like something you would like to do, make sure to ask the staff about it during your next visit. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I hope that you come back and join me as I explore more of the aquarium.